on to our next one. Actor Hugh Grant is leading a campaign in the UK to ban laptops and tablets from classrooms, and he recently called out his kid's private school for keeping students indoors at recess whenever it rains or it's too windy outside. So do you agree with Hugh's views? Audience? All right,
well,
mix.
maybe can we separate him a bit? Because the laptop and classroom things, like, I agree with Hugh Grant on almost everything, but this thing, it kind of feels like we missed the boat on that. Like, there's been technological leaps, like we went from slate chalkboards to paper notebooks, and it just feels like the laptop, like, there's no going back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I remember even, did anyone else have this? You weren't allowed to use a pen? A ballpoint pen? Thank you. And just, I remember it had to be pencil. And that first day, you had your pen. You were like, I'm an adult. But you can't go back from that.
Then you also had your little thing of whiteout.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember that?
That was a lot.
Give it a good clip every once in a while.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
You did.
Andrea.
You did it. And we all did it. We're all fine.
I think you're right, Jess. Not all whiteout or screens are created equal, I suppose. No, I don't think all screens are equal. I think he sounds a bit old in that point. I think that access to technology, we learned that during COVID. The kids who had technology at home were in a much better position than the kids who didn't, period.com. And we're trying to raise kids for the future. And guess what? It's not going to be the pen and paper, Hugh.
Yeah.
It's going to be the computer. So I think a book or a laptop is very different, though, than what he was actually
thinking about, like,
advocating against.
Yeah.
So he was there doing an event with Jonathan Haidt. And if anybody who's a parent knows, he wrote the book, the seminal book, in my opinion, that I think every parent should read, which is called The Anxious Generation. And that whole book, it relies on two things, which is, number one, we have gotten rid of play-based childhood. And it is now, we've created the indoors generation because all the kids are inside. And what has that done? It's pulled them apart from one another. And also the idea of screen time has replaced this FaceTime. So he also advocates for unsupervised play with children. And what he means by that is the helicopter parenting. We have done a major disservice to our children. They learn independence and they learn resilience and problem solving by kind of mixing it up with each other. Guess what? The way we all grew up. At least
so he's saying like a laptop is different than a phone.
Correct.
Yeah. A laptop, you're typing, you can research and
But put them outside if it's raining. We all did it.
Yeah, they're not a bag of sugar.
Laptop. You don't want the laptop in the rain.
No, we don't want that.
Surprise you? Like, in the UK, I feel like children are, like, bred stronger, you know, because they have all of that nutty weather with the rain, the cold.
Right. They have this issue going on right now. I don't know how many people have watched Adolescence on Netflix, but it is a series that a lot of people are talking about, particularly in the UK, and it was made in the UK because they've had this problem where they are seeing younger people get sort of radicalized, that there's been a few stabbings among teenagers, boys against girls. So there's this whole conversation going on that I feel like intersects with this conversation. Because obviously, even though there is technology in the classroom, I think what that series illuminated was maybe there's all kinds of private things going on between the students that teachers are unaware of, and they're not helping guide them in the proper way. So you can't just throw the technology in the classroom and expect to just convert it like, oh, instead of notebooks, now we're typing, and not expect that social media has entered the chat and that all kinds of coding conversations are happening. So I think what maybe he's advocating for is like, how do we get back to basics, which is what you're saying. How do we get back to how do we connect with each other? How do people understand and process empathy and human emotions and like all kinds of things? It seems to be slipping through the cracks and that's deeply concerning. And I think we should be
Those
listening
are
to that.
such solid points, but clap for that. That was, don't let me stop you. Those are really good points. But when I read this story, I felt like we buried the lead. Hugh Grant is 64 years old and he has 5 children who are still in elementary school.
Correct.
Let me read you off. We've got a 13-year-old daughter named Tabitha, an 11-year-old son named Felix. That's from his former partner. And then with his current wife, Anna, he has a 12-year-old. Do the math on that. There's a 13-year-old with one wife and a 12 with the other. Just gonna leave that there. Then there's John, an 8-year-old daughter named Lulu, and a 6-year-old. Sir, your problem is not the computers in the class.
Don't say anything bad about Hugh.
What is going on? Jeez.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.